Welcome to episode 14 of the Pocket Parlay podcast. Today is January 30th, and we are less than 2 weeks away from the Super Bowl nobody wanted.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Will Maynard, here with my two favorite co-hosts, Mr. Ryan Head and Mr. Zachary Mishik. How are we doing today, boys?
Feeling
I'm
good.
doing great. I'm doing great. How are you doing on this day, man? You seem a little down. The Chiefs. We got. I guess we
We're,
gotta change up the intro person. Has the most energy that day. Whoever's team comes in with the win, who you want. I thought you'd be happy about Jim Harbaugh and his media day.
I'm Jim Harbaugh, like it's old news now. He's here. We'll talk about coaching stuff in the off season, but right now focused on playoffs. And once again, the Kansas City Chiefs are in the playoffs. We had a rematch of, what was it, 2020? Chiefs versus 49ers.
Yeah.
Round two, new quarterback replacing Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy. But we're actually going to preview that game, Super Bowl, next week, since we have 2 weeks to process this horrible, horrible truth. So let's get into the championship round games. Y'all want to start off with Chiefs and Ravens?
Let's do it.
That one.
All right. Well, Zach, I'm gonna let you take the lead here because you were the happiest. We were all watching these games together, and you were just jumping for joy every time they showed Taylor Swift, and every time Travis Kelce screamed in the Raven player's face and didn't get a taunting penalty. So why don't you talk about your outcomes of the game?
Well, wait, what do you want? Like the outcome of it? I'm just happy
I
the
mean,
Chiefs won. I don't. Baltimore Ravens, they got punked. It seemed like they were the bullies, and then someone else came in there and started yelling at them, and they didn't know what to do. Like they tried to do these taunting to see if the Chiefs would lose their composure, but they never did. It seemed like, and I think Baltimore Ravens went into exactly what the not 49ers, sorry, Chiefs wanted them to do by turning Lamar Jackson into a pocket throwing quarterback, and the score ended up the score. Lamar Jackson isn't that guy. Should we put him in the same category as Josh Allen, that kind of thing?
No.
I mean that's a good category to be in.
Yeah.
Script was not in his favor. I mean, first of all, I feel like it was poor play calling. I don't know who their OC is, but they ran the ball like I think it was like 6 times.
Yeah.
And they're the number one outside of Lamar Jackson, like scrambling in his runs, but they were the number one rushing team, or they were probably a top 3 rushing team for the whole year. And then to abandon the run game in a 10-17 game doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's not like it was a shootout where Lamar had to be a pocket passer all game. I felt like they just didn't call the right plays on the offensive side of the ball. Like, do what you did to get you here, right?
Yeah. I got one point to that. The Chiefs like blitzed them. It seemed like every other play. They just kept on. They did man coverage 1-on-1 to the wide receivers that they paid, and they put it in Lamar's hands. They were like, it was the right play. Like if you had any other quarterback, you would want him to make those throws. He missed a lot of deep balls, it seemed like, and they took the shot with their MVP. I mean, should they ran it to keep the ball out of Lamar's hands and make him into a runner more? Yeah, but they chose that. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I mean, this was like for one, it was a boring game to watch, but it was just so hard to watch that Ravens offense. Odell, like, I forgot that he was playing until the second half when he finally got targeted. Outside of Zay Flowers, they didn't really have any real receiving option that was getting consistently open. I think Mark Andrews gets a pass because he's been injured for so long. This was his first game back. I feel like we all thought he was going to be prime Mark Andrews, but seemed like I don't even know if did he get a catch?
He had a couple, I think.
Did he get injured? Because Likely started getting more balls. Or I know the
I got
interception.
injured weeks ago. I
No,
think he was
I
on
didn't know he
IR for a little bit.
got injured this game because they kind of like he never was shown. It seemed like second half.
But whatever it is, I mean, this game, I want to put it on Lamar. I also don't want to put it on Lamar because if Zay Flowers doesn't get that taunting call and then immediately after fumble as he's going into the end zone, it's a 17-17 game. Well, you also don't throw a ball into triple coverage. Apparently, he was throwing it into that triple coverage, hoping to get a pass interference call, which you just don't risk throwing a pass like that just to hopefully get a flag, especially when you're playing the Chiefs, because refs keep that flag in their pocket for Taylor Swift. Um, and I mean, I don't know what else Lamar wants. He wanted a new OC. They got him a new OC. He wanted Odell Beckham. They got him Odell Beckham. They got him Zay Flowers. They got him all these targets for him to be able to throw. And then he just kind of disappeared. Um, they
I don't
I was looking.
like he didn't play that bad.
He
At the
didn't
end of
play
the day,
that bad, but
who always win the playoffs ended up winning. Like we're gonna end up talking about Chiefs versus 49ers, but I think it's gonna be hard for any of us to bet against the Chiefs, right? Like it's the Chiefs and playoffs and the Super Bowl. Like this is just what they do. I don't know if it's all on Lamar. I think
it
we're
is. But
talking
this
all
was
about
a
the
This is
Ravens.
a missed opportunity by Lamar. He like took sacks when he shouldn't have. It seemed like it was a 3rd and 1. He took a sack when he could have just thrown away, made it 4th and 1. It seemed like a lot of plays that started piling up. He missed like 2 or 3 deep balls on the left side.
Yeah,
yeah.
It
no,
was,
sure.
he missed his opportunity. Like with their division getting healthy, Joe Burrow coming back, Deshaun Watson, like just many other quarterbacks that are getting better. Like Maynard talked about this weeks ago. Like this was the easiest year of quarterbacks, right? Or along those lines of like Baker Mayfield was like a top 10 quarterback. Dak
Yeah.
Prescott MVP conversation.
I mean, there's a legit argument that if all the quarterbacks stayed healthy, Aaron Rodgers or Joe Burrow, one of those guys could have easily be in the MVP conversation. Kirk Cousins was in the MVP conversation before he went down
Yeah,
after
but
he
we're also
rallied the Vikings.
about Lamar, who's after this year going to be a two-time MVP winner. I don't know if it's fair to put him in the same conversation as like Josh Allen, or he's still one of those elite guys, and Josh Allen is too. But like, I think he's a top 3 quarterback. I think we're probably looking at this game too closely. Like he was
Well, let's
doing things that he didn't do all year. Like he's not a pocket quarterback. He's not somebody who's supposed to drop back and throw the ball 35 times, which he was
what
asked to do.
the only difference between Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott is 2 MVPs. Because you look at their record, minimum 5 starts, he's in the bottom 5 in playoff record. He's 2-4. Dak's 2-5. We shit on Dak for not showing up in the playoffs. Yet Lamar's 2-4. The Ravens defense held the Chiefs scoreless in the second half. Holding the Chiefs to 17 points is the best any defense is pretty much going to do. And now they gave him all the weapons. They gave him everything he wanted to, and he
Holding
just
them
didn't show
scoreless
up.
for
That's
three
fair.
quarters.
But look at the years prior. Like this year's fine. He had the weapons that he asked for. Spent a first round draft pick on a wide receiver. All good. But years previous, when he was winning MVP and stuff a couple of years ago, he has had nothing. All they've done is just run the ball and thrown out people like Nelson Aguilar for him to throw to. It's I get it this year, and
Yeah,
it's fair,
that's what we're
but
talking about. This year, you had everything you wanted. You had the first round bye. You were at home. You had the number one defense. You have all the weapons. The running backs are still good, and you still lost. And I
and
get that it's the
the
Chiefs.
ball, but they didn't run the ball.
I mean, maybe you can
Were
blame the
they
play
that
caller, but if
were
you're
they that
MVP,
scared
you
of
should be able to throw the
Patrick?
ball.
Were they
What was
that
that,
scared
Zach?
of Patrick Mahomes? Is that what it is? They were
I
that scared of
mean,
him being able to like just go put up points. I don't know. There's no other reason behind it.
they
But
they did feel like the Ravens played scared.
And if you
But
take and if you add that touchdown that Zay should have had, like take away a couple mistakes and the Ravens win this game. I just think it's a little unfair to look at Lamar and be like, this guy's not the dude.
that's the playoffs. Like little mistakes
I
will
get it.
cost you games.
Like there was literally a touchdown inches away and it got fumbled out of the end zone.
But are
yeah,
you just gonna not
You know,
even mention the part where he throws into triple coverage into the end zone?
that it was a bad mistake. I get it,
I
but
mean,
it's also a Hail Mary
If
shot.
you're the
Not a Hail
MVP
Mary.
and you're in the playoffs, you expect your quarterback to play perfect. And perfect is what wins Super Bowls, which is what the Ravens' goal was this year. And yeah, Zay messed up. It was bad. They had a lot of penalties, but this was still a winnable game if you hold the Chiefs' offense to 14 points and you're the face of the Ravens' offense. You have to be able to go out there and even with the Zay thing, that would have been only 17 points. This Chiefs defense is very good, but you're supposed to be the best quarterback in the league or the MVP of the league.
he was the best quarterback this
The
year.
best quarterback in the league. He was playing against Pat Mahomes.
That was the argument why everyone wanted Baltimore or thought Baltimore was going to win. It was like Patrick Mahomes might be the best quarterback, like in that conversation, but Lamar was the best quarterback this year. I think
Yeah.
it's just two different arguments about
Playoff
postseason, regular
Mahomes.
season.
Playoff Mahomes.
Exactly, but playoff Lamar is becoming like playoff Dak. Like you can't trust Lamar in the playoffs anymore.
How many people are you going to put in front of Lamar? Like,
I'd
I
probably
get
put it. I'd probably put him like he'd probably be
but
like
We're trying. We're
6.
still 3 or 4.
The hard part is like I think Pat Mahomes is just building that gap between everybody else. That's the thing. And then we're getting mad at these guys down here that they're not that guy.
That is true, but I mean, okay, you realize that Lamar's 2 playoff wins came against Ryan Tannehill led Tennessee
That's fine. But
Titans
who are you putting?
and a rookie quarterback in C.J. Stroud.
Who are better quarterbacks in the league? And let's say Joe Burrow is. So you have Pat Mahomes and Joe Burrow.
I'll take Josh Allen in the playoffs over
Hey,
Lamar
so that's
Jackson.
3. Now he's 4. There's no better quarterbacks.
I would probably take Aaron Rodgers in the healthy Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs.
40 years old. No way.
I take CJ Stroud.
Stop. Now we're getting crazy, bro.
That's a little crazy, but
I think
I
it's just
do see
different.
where he's
Like
coming
it's
from.
not like you don't. They're like if you look at their least like their postseason scores, go look at their like points. They're great in the regular season. They're
1 year. He's done it 1 year, and Lamar's going to have 2 MVPs, and he's led his team to the playoffs every year. Has been his starting quarterback. I get he hasn't had success in the playoffs,
they're
but
great
he's
regular season team.
playoffs for
But great when you enter the great category, you're judged off your playoff success.
It's unfair, but it is.
I get it, but he's still a top 4 quarterback in the league.
Regular season quarterback.
There you go, top 4 regular season quarterback.
And I'd rather have CJ Stroud in the playoffs.
All right, we've debated Lamar long enough. Let's get over to the NFC Championship game. The Lions versus the 49ers. The 49ers back into the Super Bowl.
We didn't want to talk about the
Lion,
Chiefs. We didn't
huh?
want to. We didn't
I
want
mean,
to
we're
stroke.
talking about the we pretty much talked about the Chiefs. They had or playoff Mahomes, playoff Travis Kelce showed up. We're also going to talk about them more next week. I mean,
All
what
right.
more is there to say besides their defense locked up Lamar?
Yeah, Pat Mahomes turned into a game manager, and that had a negative narrative around it.
I mean, he turned to a game manager, but he was turned to a game manager when they were up, a lot of points, just trying to run that clock out.
Yeah.
But Ryan, why don't you, since you've been on fire here arguing, why don't you tell us what your thoughts are on the 49ers Lions game?
Wait, who had the Lions going?
I was feeling so good at
You
halftime.
you lead. I want you to lead because
You should
sorry,
talk.
Ryan.
Okay.
I want this guy because he picked him and what happened?
Well, first I started getting like Vietnam flashbacks during this game. Like for a second when they cut the camera to the line sideline, I thought I saw Brandon Staley coaching that team instead of Dan Campbell. You're up, what was it? I think it was 14-24, and you're easily in field goal range. Go for it on 4th and 5. Why not? And what happened? Incomplete pass to Josh Reynolds. Then back on the other side later in the game, was it 20? Was it 31-27 at that point? Can't remember exactly. Um, Once again, go for it on 4th down. Jared Goff throws a duck. That's 6 points in a game that was decided by 3 points. And he said, "Oh, I gambled and I lost. And live by the sword, die by the sword." You know, Lions fans get a taste of what the Chargers got, but in the end, I feel like the biggest thing though was the halftime adjustments. Lions didn't adjust at all. 49ers, their defense adjusted, locked up, took away all the passing, stuffed the run lanes, and was able to give Brock Purdy enough time, enough drives to go down and score. And frankly, I feel like Brock Purdy this playoff, this playoff especially, kind of proved that he is a good quarterback because he was down against the Packers, came back and won, and he was down against the Lions a lot and came back and won. And so I don't move Brock Purdy up a ton because he still has playmakers all around him.
Of
But
Lamar.
this was a Brock Purdy game. I mean, the plays he made running. Oh, okay, Ryan. I'll get. I don't know what that face was for. Did Brock Purdy not go out there and play a great second half?
Zach said that he should be above Lamar.
That you take him above Lamar now.
No. If I gave Lamar, if you give any other starting quarterback pretty much except Zach Wilson, that 49ers team, they're probably going to the Super Bowl too.
I don't know. Yeah.
But that was my piece. That Dan Campbell just has to learn not to always be ultra aggressive, or he will be fired, like Brandon Staley.
You or me, Ryan?
I got barking dogs, so you go.
My takeaway was, I think the Lions lost this. I talked about this coming into the game, how it's going to come down to Dan Campbell with his idiotic fourth down calls, where I get it, you live by that. That's what got you there. But analytics doesn't bring in effect of like that stadium was rocking whenever they brought him, whenever they fumbled, whenever they missed it, all that kind of stuff. You can't, I don't think there's any way to analyze that stuff. And the reason I say the Lions lost it, Jahmyr Gibbs fumbles the ball. Fumbles. I mean, that's just a rookie. He's been great all year. Can't really blame them all, but does a rookie do that? No. Or does a veteran do that? Probably not. The lucky bounce off the face mask to Ayuk, does that happen? I don't know. There's a lot of lucky stuff that happens that goes 49ers. Does their 49ers luck run out against Kansas City? That's basically where I'm at now.
Yeah. Ryan?
Yeah, you kind of took the words out of my mouth, Zach. I think the Lions kind of lost this with the Gibbs fumble. Reynolds had a drop or two in like key situations. I think both of them were on third down. I don't know. The better team won, and the Lions' offense just completely looked horrible that second half. 49ers just came out with it's a better coach. It's a better team. I think the better team at the end of the day just won that game. Yeah, not a lot to say there.
I sent a text about Jared Goff. I was talking about his spirals. Like the dude looked like he never threw a spiral. Like on that flea flicker, he looked like he gritted the shit out of his teeth and just chunked it, and then he threw it so hard that it just went boop 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 boop. And it happened like 3 or 4 times that he was trying to do that. That's the reason why I asked about the spirals or the ducks. I'm not saying it's his fault they lost. It was in his receiver's hands, but I don't know. Ben Johnson
put up
that's a huge plus.
I think if you put up 31 points, your defense should just be able to win you the game as the quarterback. But that's why you got to play two sides of the ball. I am excited to see what the Lions will do next year because Ben Johnson's staying informed the Commanders and the Seahawks, so they're basically going to run it back with almost the same exact team. So I'm excited for that.
He'll be good again.
Yeah.
Apparently he told them on the flight there, like he was mid-air, and then he called them and said, "Yeah, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore."
He just loves Detroit, that culture.
Yeah, I bet you they. I don't know.
Well,
OC and DC seem like they're not jumping ship as much as we thought. I don't know. Dan Quinn might still leave, but I'm surprised he hasn't left 2 years ago with how much everyone thinks DC's leave or OC's.
he'll leave after next year when
He's kinda
McCarthy's
had
fired.
good before, and he wasn't very good. So maybe he realizes that he can make almost the same amount of money being a DC.
Yeah, what's the point of being a head coach? You get all the hate and you never get any of the glory.
You do if you win the Super Bowl.
Okay. Okay.
Sean Payton's been riding his one Super Bowl win for 10 years.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we're not going to talk about the Pro Bowl. I'm not going to talk about the Super Bowl this week. We're going to flip it over to the NBA. Over halfway through the season, um, and there have been some surprise teams in my eyes. So I wanted to ask you guys what y'all's best surprise team and worst surprise teams have been.
Zach, I'll let you kick it.
I have a lot of worst. The Hornets have been the absolute fucking dumpster fire that they always are.
Are you
Like
what I said? Surprise, asshole. All right,
I
this
know,
was not
surprise.
that big.
No,
You,
surprise because they have so much talent on that team. They have so much talent, but they just can't put it together, and it's frustrating to watch. Because if you look at them on paper, they have talent everywhere. You might
we're
know,
not gonna factor in injuries into the Hornets at all here.
I'm just saying, even if they were healthy, I don't think they're winning.
Because
It's
I
something.
had this talk with y'all about the Mavericks not being great, and I got, oh, Derek Lively hasn't been playing that
Not being
much.
great and dog shit are totally different things.
But Zach, you're saying you're like surprised by the Hornets, but we
I'm
start off the
surprised that they
year.
didn't even hit their over. They didn't even get near their over, which was
No,
35. We talked about this before the year, and you talked me into it, and I was on it. You talked about it before the year how like why wouldn't they get at least what was it 25 wins, 35? That's easy.
and I precipiced all that by saying if we're healthy, LaMelo's played 22 games. Mark Williams has played 19 games. Miles Bridges was suspended for the first 10 games of the season. Our minutes leader on our team is rookie Brandon Miller. Okay? PJ got to go sit his ass on the bench because he sucked. And Gordon Hayward's injured again. Gordon's only played 25 games. So, yes, do I agree we're not living up to our potential? Absolutely. Part of that is talent. But I feel like the bigger chunk of that is the fact that we're injured. When we played 45 games and our starting point guard has played less than half the games, our starting center's played less than half of the games. So when two of your starters have played less than half of the games in the season, they're probably not going to be that good, considering they're probably two of our three best players or four best players.
Why'd you bring up Charlotte, Zach?
Because
That
Yeah,
I'm
you
because
just
I
wanted to
wanted.
piss me off.
That's not it. They surprised me most. I mean, Washington didn't surprise me. I mean, you go through the bad teams, and it's Charlotte with like
So
damn
the
near
like the
consistent
Lakers
win.
not being 24
Charlotte,
and
Washington,
24.
Detroit. I mean, the second surprise would be Golden State. That would be the second surprise.
So wait, hold on. I know what you picked on your overs and unders. You had the over on Detroit's wins. So don't sit here and be like, oh, because Charlotte's not gonna hit their over, they suck. Detroit might not even break 10 games on the
Do we
season.
give Cade Cunningham the same hype as we give LaMelo? No, we do not.
Absolutely, they do. Everyone
Are
thinks
you
Cade
kidding
Cunningham
me?
is great. They've been giving it to him for years.
That is so not true.
That is 100% facts.
Just because we gave Detroit, yes, I gave them the over because I thought Cade Cunningham and I thought these draft picks, but who knew that Monty Williams was just a fucking dumbass and didn't know how to coach?
Yes, but you knew that Steve Clifford was a dumbass and didn't know how to coach. He's been
No,
fired
no,
from
no.
Charlotte once already. He's getting fired
Steve
twice by the
Clifford was
same team.
apparently he's a good coach, and my insider at Hornets, I guess I'm more mad that my insider at Hornets doesn't know his stuff and he gets us to believe this stuff. I think
Sorry, I didn't
I'll
get
go
like
afterwards.
sports
Go
medicine.
someone else go. I'll
Holy
look for my
shit.
exciting
Ryan, do you
one.
want to go or you want to let me go?
I'll let you go. I'm ready if you want me to go, but you got it.
You know what? You know what? You know who my surprise bad team is? Is the Dallas
Stop,
Mavericks.
dude.
Because I
Stop.
heard this was a
Stop.
top four team in the West. Now that we got Derek Lively. Oh, we got Grant Williams. We're putting all the pieces together. We're gonna have the defense around Luca. And where do you stand at now? As the seventh seed in the West.
Yeah,
And
we're
you're
like
right there tied with New Orleans.
games back from the 4 seed that you were talking about.
But
Yeah.
when I heard this is
We've been
going to be
playing
one of the
that
best
fast.
Dallas teams we've had in a while. This is going to be great lockdown defense. This is not what I expected, and this is like one of the teams when I went into the season because my Mavs insider had me believing in them, and I figured that this was not going to be a team that needed to sell or buy at the trade deadline. Look at him; he's on his phone.
We said we were buyers. Don't say
No,
what.
I said that I didn't think y'all would. if this was the lineup that y'all were gonna have of Kyrie, Luca, Tim, Grant Williams, and Derek Lively, I you told me that's a
Probably
top
run
four
that
seed in the
rotation
West.
4 times this season because we've been so hurt.
Grant Williams, I even
Don't
my
talk to me
hesitation
about.
with him.
Well, no,
Grant
apparently
Williams,
we can use injuries, and why we're so surprised.
no, I'm
So
not going to use
I'm just
injuries.
surprised. Actually, I shouldn't be surprised though, because Lucas fat ass can't get up and go get on a diet and go work out.
Yeah, go look
Big
at his last six
shocker.
games. Last 6 games. Let's see who else can do that.
Can't
Last
talk.
6 games,
Can't
yet the
talk
games
You
are
can't
all
about.
talk
still
about
close.
Luca. You can't talk about Luca like
If you
that. Like
score
almost
73 points with Luca's efficiency, you should have beat the Hawks by 30. What was it, like a 6 point game when it came down to it?
does that show more that Luca's bad or that the team around him? What does that show?
I've been talking about the team the whole time. Surprisingly, the team plays bad defense.
Who didn't play, Ryan? Tell him who didn't play. Who didn't play? If
Stepping
you
back, this was. I'm letting y'all handle this one.
I mean, are you
I
asking
looked
me
at the stats.
David?
Look,
I'll listen. I'll listen.
if
If you're
Luca
asking
if
questions,
Luca
let me know.
puts up, listen, Luca is great. I'm not getting on Luca, but if you put 73 points with that insane efficiency that he had, the rest of the group, the other guys, can't play any kind of defense. They're not taking shots apparently. Luca had like 35 shots, so I know the other guys were just basically just doing cardio back and forth because they weren't playing defense and they weren't just giving Luca the rock to go score. So I had bigger expectations for the Mavs, especially since we tanked last season to go get Derek Lively. And being in the play-in is not, especially when the top two seeds are the Nuggets or the Timberwolves. So that's one of my surprising worst teams. I mean, Zach, are you not? If I told you at the beginning of the season, at this point, you'd be 26 and 21, and you'd be the seventh seed, tied with the Pelicans. Would you be surprised? Would you be like, yeah, that's where I expected us to be?
Trying to think how I would answer this. Ask Ryan. I okay. I am surprised about how much we can't win, how bad our defense is. I'm so surprised about that. And that Grant Williams, thought I knew his height was a problem. I didn't know this guy was just a liability. He's as bad as Luca. Luca's sometimes better than him. Grant Williams can't do anything. It's
I mean,
bad.
you're my Mavs insider here. You
And
didn't see this coming.
I told you this hesitations. I did.
You said he's going to be good defense, and he's brought nothing to y'all's team. But we'll check in on the Mavs in about a week.
I know if we add a lengthy wing that can play defense, it fixes a lot of problems because people can rotate easier. I
Well,
know
let's.
there's a hole, and there was at the fort, and there's still a hole. Our
Well,
offense is our defense. That's all I'll
we
say.
will get. We'll check back in on the Mavs after the trade deadline and see how the new teams are looking. Ryan, give me one of your most surprised teams. We'll run through these a little bit faster now that we've argued.
Yeah, I've got plenty of Mavs thoughts, but I'll hold back on the Mavs thoughts. I'm
No,
trying
give
to figure
them.
out like
Give them.
one
Give
surprise.
them. Give the thoughts. Give them.
We don't have.
I agree with you, Zach. We need a 3-4 that can play defense. I think the big issues for me for the Mavs are Jason Kidd. I mean, some of the lineups that we're running, like our second and third rotations, where there's literally zero defense on the floor, and the tallest guy on the court is 6'6" Grant Williams playing the 5, and then everybody else is like 6'10" we're playing against. Like, of course, we're not gonna be able to guard anybody. Feel like we definitely have to make a trade if we're going to be competitive this year in the playoffs. Like relying on Kyrie to stay healthy is panning out to not. It's just not working. So we're going to have to add another piece. But surprise picks. I got Clippers. They made a lot of moves. Kind of coming into the year after the year started with Harden. I don't know. I didn't really expect them to be this good, even if they were all healthy. I didn't think they were going to win games like this just because of all the personalities. And it's like 3 dudes who have at one point been like top 5 in the league, right? So what's that?
Four dudes. You're not counting Russell Westbrook in there?
Yeah, 4 dudes. Exactly. Well, Russell's playing off the bench, but 3 dudes
Yeah.
starting that like are top 5 guys at one point. So surprises working out. We'll see if they're able to stay healthy. That's going to be like the biggest question mark. But going into the playoffs, when the game changes up a little bit, got a lot of ISO ball. It's going to be a really hard team to beat
They're
if
one of the same teams.
they're healthy. And they have
Yeah.
Zubac at the 5. Like all around, I feel like that's a well-crafted team.
That was one of my surprise teams as well. Just because they started off, I think it was like 0-5 after they got after James Harden, and now they're 2 games back from the 1 seed and probably one of the most dangerous teams come playoff time. They're the 4 seed currently in the West. My surprise good team is the New York Knicks, the 4 seed in the East. Especially after the OG Anunoby trade.
It'd be so
'Cause
nice.
yeah, I feel like we all kind of thought like this was an equal trade. Both teams got what they wanted.
Mhm.
So far, this like they've been 12-2 since they got OG. Follow us on Instagram. We actually posted today the differences between the Knicks and their rivals, the Heat, after their trade. Since Heat got Terry Rozier, they're 0-4, and since OG came to New York, they're 12-2. And just with the state of the East, knowing Joel won't show up in the playoffs probably. Milwaukee still has a lot to figure out. Like I feel like New York is a sneaky team to make the conference finals.
That's what I was gonna ask. Is like, where do y'all put them in the playoffs? Because I'm still hesitant on like, I love Jalen Brunson, and he performed well against the Utah Jazz, who were imploding on themselves.
But he
But
also had last playoff series. I mean, he was great in the playoffs last year too. I
they're
think
Like
just
in
Julius Randle also hogs the ball about 50% of the time, and he sucks.
there's just something about that team. Like they grind in the regular season. They have a Thibodeau team. Like, what's his name's probably playing the most minutes. OG. He probably fucking
I
hates
think
it.
he has.
Something crazy. But
Um
Can I throw
so
another good team out there?
yeah.
Surprise good team. I I thought they were going to be good, knew they were going to be good, but I didn't think they were going to be this good, especially without like adding another piece of the trade deadline. I think the Oklahoma City Thunder have a really good shot of like, I don't think they're going to win it this year, but they could definitely make a run, win a series or two. It's a really, really good team. Jalen Williams is playing the best basketball he's ever played. Shea is obviously playing top 5 odds in MVP. You've got Chet playing rookie of the year defense, also really good on the offensive side of the ball. They've got a lot of other key pieces like Isaiah. Like they have so many pieces that are working for them. And then you look at their future with all of their first rounders that they have stacked up. This is a team that's going to be good for years. I just didn't think it was going to be happen this quick. Like they could definitely win a series this year.
And
whenever
they
you,
could use those first rounders to cash in and get a superstar at the trade deadline this year. They could. I'm not saying they will.
They wait because they're that good. That's the thing. They're
Yeah.
good enough this year that they could make a run without trading.
whenever you like think about building a team, they have everything except for a dominant five. Like that's the only thing they don't have. If they went out and got a true big, oh my god, they have every matchup, they have the height, they have the length, they have everything to compete against Jokic and Embiid and all of
Yeah,
that.
not a true 5. Like honestly,
Yeah.
like I know he's not Embiid, but there's just only like Jokic and Embiid, like
When I say true five, I mean like a Andre Drummond, a
Clint
Capella.
Capella.
Claxton, Podol would be cool for them. Stuff guys like that.
Yeah. I think they should go out and get Clint Capella since Hawks are selling.
I'm actually asking, like, would Chet move to the 4, or that would be like his backup? Like he's still a 5, right?
I think they would play both, depending on the matchup. If
Yeah,
it's against like Rudy and Cat, they would play it like that. But if you're playing Boston,
he's a
then
5 for the most part, I think.
yeah, you just don't want those guys banging bodies that much. They just don't hold up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
But
right, Zach, finish us off with your surprise good team.
my last surprise, same as Ryan, where I thought they were going to be good, but I didn't think they were going to be this good, would be the Indiana Pacers. leading the league in points per game with 124.8, historic numbers. Like just every year, I know numbers have gone up crazy. There's a huge narrative going around about that, how it's bad, but they're putting it up. Rick Carlisle doing it again, just being a genius on offense in the regular season, and I think he's going to do good with them in the playoffs. He's got his Pascal Siakam that can perform. They have a true floor general, and they have Buddy Hield shooting. They have a lot of things, and they have Miles Turner. They have a
The
lot.
only thing that can kill them is defense. They
Yeah, but if they
if
get
someone
stopped and they make it a half court game, I like their length and I like that side of it.
Who are they beating in the playoffs in a 7-game series, Zach?
In a 7 game
Like
series,
I don't have them beating anybody that makes the playoffs in a 7-game series. Like let's say
beat
Orlando,
Milwaukee.
Miami, Indiana, like the people who are in the playoffs right now make the playoffs. I don't have Indiana beating any of them.
I can
Maybe
see them beating Orlando. That's probably it.
I got my thing messed
And
up.
it's still a toss up with Orlando.
I have them beating Cleveland. I don't like Cleveland at all. I think Donovan Mitchell's ready to get out of there. They've done better with Darius Garland in the lineup. Also, do you guys just want to or close out this one and then start a new one, and we could just add it?
Yeah, I'm down.
Yes, you can.
It's gonna
All right,
take
cool.
some editing magic.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just put it together.
Okay. All right.
We can.
And we are back from our small break. Zach had to go get a beer
That
to get
long.
intoxicated. Um, did we have any other surprise teams? I believe I did have one more surprise team that I'd like to talk.
I might have another. Go for it, Maynard.
Mine is the Golden State Warriors. As they say, all dynasties end ugly, and being 2.5 games back from the 10th seed, being 5 games under 500 is not the way you want this to end because Clay's on a 1 year deal. You got rid of Poole, your bench. Kaminga and Moses weren't happy for a little bit. It's kind of died down now, but you never know. And this just doesn't seem like there's any moves they can make with the contracts they have to get them into playoff contention or championship contention. So, I'm a little disappointed. It's probably going to be no Steph in the playoffs this year.
Which is going to be really sad. I would love to see him in a 1 game plan. I think we'll get there. I think he'll get his team going. Like once they get Draymond back for some more time, figure it out. Like talk about some bad luck. Draymond loses his shit. One of their assistant coaches just straight up has a heart attack and dies in the middle of the year. Like just bad luck. Like prayers out to that guy, his family and all that. But Jesus, this whole thing. And they keep on talking about their idea, Steph and Clay and Draymond. This is why Bob Myers quit. Nobody wants to be. Who's the one that broke up the Bulls and his wife got booed the other week?
Oh, I know you're talking about, but I think it was like Jerry something.
Yeah, nobody wants to be the guy that break up the dynasty. You just get the most hate, and it's just bad.
Yeah, I feel like Kerr is just in a rock and a hard place. Like you can't break up the dynasty. You can't move Clay and Draymond to the bench. Like the only person from the dynasty that's still really good is Steph. Like Steph isn't what he was in 2018, but he's still a top 10 player in the league. But I mean, you got Wiggins, Draymond, and Clay who have all fallen off significantly, and it's hard as a head coach who's won multiple championships with that guy, with those dudes, to move him to the bench. So you've seen he hasn't used Moody the way he should. He hasn't used Kuminga the way he should. I can't pronounce his name, but they got some guard that they drafted.
Poskashinsky or something like that.
Yeah.
He's been a baller for him. Like he should be starting at the 2 instead of Clay. If it were best best player plays. But I'm surprised that y'all are surprised that Golden State is as bad. Like, even if Chris Paul was healthy, like,
Dude, I
we're,
forgot
we're,
about him. Oh my god. Oh my god. Dude, I forgot he was
playing
gone.
the year
Add
rolled
to
out
the list.
Chris Paul, Steph, Clay, like bunch of 40-year-olds. That plan was never going to work, and I don't think anybody actually believed it was. It was just trying to like grasp on to the dynasty. But yeah, this at some point they're going to have to change up things. Clay's going to walk this year. He's been talking like he wants to get paid like a superstar still. Uh, I think this team is going to look so much different next year. Like, this was the year that they tried out all these old dudes, had to prove it didn't work. But next year, there's no way this team looks the same. There's no way.
Okay, say this team's healthy. How scared are you
Fuck.
of them in a playoff series? Because as a Mavs
Not at
fan,
all.
I don't know why Steph, Chris Paul, like I'm talking 7 games, that's it. Nothing else. I don't care about the next round. I'm talking first series, that's it.
If I'm a Mavs fan, maybe. But if you're Denver walking into that series, you're like, you've got to be kidding me, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not a good team.
Yeah, I agree. If I'm Seawolves, Nuggets, Thunder, Clippers, even Kings, I'm just not scared anymore.
Mm. Man, I got a hypothetical for you. It was given by your favorite podcast host, Bill Simmons, about where they could send Steph Curry. And he was just throwing out teams and threw out your favorite team, the Charlotte Hornets. He said, what if Charlotte Hornets' godfather offered the Golden State Warriors, gave them LaMelo Ball and 5 first?
No way.
Does the Warriors take and does the Warriors take that meeting? He loves doing these
Yeah,
hypotheticals. Do they even take the meeting kind of thing? Like
they
what's the
take the
line?
meeting because by the time we get to like the third or fourth or fifth first round pick that's offered, Steph's retired. And
Yeah.
you probably get a top 10 pick. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. If Steph wants to come home, come back to his native team, then
Love
he
that.
can
That'd
do
be
so when his
cool.
contract's up.
Wait, I'm lost. Steph started in Charlotte?
No, he's from North Carolina.
Because
His
Dell.
dad, his dad
Uh,
Dell is a commentator for the Hornets right currently.
there's
So
a
like,
0% that Golden State would trade Steph.
Yeah.
Under
and there's a
it's
0% chance
10
anyone's offering
first,
5 first round
they
picks.
got 10
Yeah, I
first.
just wanted to throw it out. I wanted to see the dialogue we could get going.
The
But
dialogue is Bill Simmons equal dumb. Bill
he
Simmons
does have some
dumb.
bad ones. He does have some bad ones.
All
He
right.
does.
To round off the show, we were going to talk about some of the trades that happened, but the trade deadline is literally in a little over a week. I figured we could review the trades after the trade deadline. So I wanted to ask you guys this. Can you name me your top 4 contenders in the West and the East? If you need time, I can say mine first.
You go ahead.
All right, in the
Second.
West, I would say my top 4 contenders are the Nuggets, Clippers, Suns, and Timberwolves. Probably not in that order, but and I left out the I left out the Thunder, I left out the Kings, left out the Mavericks, I left out the Lakers. I just feel like Suns are really putting it together with their big three. And in a playoff series, I'll take those 3 guys over just about anybody. Nuggets, do I really have to explain? Back to back champions. Clippers, we talked about them earlier. They are just probably, in my opinion, they're probably number 1 on the list because they are a matchup nightmare, especially with Russell Westbrook and James Harden. They are 2 completely different kind of guards, and I feel like I could see them where they like ride the hot hand of whichever one is going off. So, and then the Timberwolves, if they can kind of, Zach, you're a big culture guy. If they could kind of get that culture down,
This is what I was going to ask. This is one of
yeah,
my questions.
if they kind of get that culture down, obviously it was on display after they blew a lead to the Hornets, and I'm a Hornets fan, and that's pathetic. Cat scored like 62. And they were all talking about how they were just trying to get him the most points, get him to beat Embiid that night.
Even
That's
last
not
night.
winning basketball. But I feel like if they lock in, it's hard for me not to give Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, Cat, Jaden McDaniels at least a shot in the playoffs. And then in the East, uh,
You just want
obviously
to
it's
go west.
Celtic.
You want to go
West.
west by west.
Yeah, let's go
Let's go.
West.
Yeah, West
We,
West and then East East. Go ahead.
um. So the only difference I have, I think, is you said Denver, or I'll just say mine. You say what's different. I got Phoenix, Clippers, Oklahoma City, and Denver.
You put in Thunder instead of Timberwolves.
I put
What's
that I trust Shea more than Anthony Edwards, and I love Anthony Edwards because I love how he plays. But like for some reason, they keep on showing the immaturity. Their coach tries to reel him back in. I thought Rudy, or I thought what's his name? Rudy, yeah, Rudy would be a better leader. I didn't think Mike Conley was going to be the only grown up in that room, and how big of a deal he is to that team. That's
Yeah.
honestly my like how much do you trust him in the playoffs? I know style wise and everything they fit everything, but the maturity of this team seems like it's not there, and I don't know if they can fix it by the end of the year. Like, what's going to have to happen? Like, are they going to trade someone? The only trade they have possible is expiring, I think, slow mo.
Mm-hmm.
Just get a grown up in the room to be like, hey guys, let's win the game first instead of try to get Cat. They were looking at Joel Embiid's scores at halftime, being like, we're
Yeah.
gonna go for it too.
I
But
think the only thing I give the Timberwolves over the Thunder is just playoff inexperience for the Thunder. Chet's never played in a playoff game. Shea's been in one playoff series, and I was in the bubble, so didn't even get that playoff atmosphere. Jalen Williams has never been in the playoffs. Um, and just, Cat has been, Rudy has made deep playoff runs. Anthony Edwards now has some under his belt after last year. So I think it's more just an argument of maturity versus experience, and both are valid arguments, though.
yeah, what do you think, Ryan? What's your top four?
For me, in order, I've got Denver, Clippers, Phoenix, and then I'm gonna have to go Oklahoma City. For me, Minnesota just doesn't like y'all been talking about. I just feel like they're not mature enough. Um, they've been to the playoffs the past couple of years and haven't had success, and they're kind of running it back with this same squad. So obviously, I have Mike Conley. I don't know how much that swings the pendulum per se. Denver, Nikola should win the MVP this year. I feel like Embiid style of basketball, one, isn't going to translate to the playoffs, and two, it's just not fun to watch. Uh, Clippers, if they stay healthy, that's a team that definitely could win. But I just don't feel like they're going to stay healthy. Uh, it's hard to see Kawhi, Paul George, and James Harden playing 70 plus games this year, and they've all kind of been healthy. So we'll see there.
Healthy too.
Yeah, exactly. For a 7 game series, like that's a different level of health. Phoenix, same question mark. Can you have all three dudes playing on the floor at the same time? Uh, Devin Booker, or sorry, shoot, what's his name? Who's the third dude?
Bradley Beal.
Big deal.
Bradley Beal has barely played at all, and I feel like he's gonna have to put together a stretch of games to get comfortable with Durant and Booker. Like I'd be surprised if they played 15 games together at this point. So going to the playoffs, hopefully they're all healthy. I feel like that's a fun team to watch. And then already kind of talked about Oklahoma City. I feel like they're good enough to win maybe a first round series, but they probably need another year of experience or like a draft pick or a trade to really make that next leap. But yeah, I feel like the West is packed, a lot more packed than the East.
Yeah, I was
Much
looking
more
already.
packed.
looking over the East, I'm curious if we're gonna have any.
Maybe
We might have to just go the second round of the West and go the next four to have some conversation here. I don't
For
know if you're.
me,
I'm
huh?
I guess go order, and we could discuss the order because I don't feel like we're gonna have conversation here.
Wait, do you want me to list like all four, or do you just want me to go like top from
go
four
in
to one
order.
here? Huh?
Go in order. Go Ryan, like
Okay.
Ryan was. Let's go order.
Okay.
Make it fun.
So from 1 to 4, mine is Boston, Milwaukee, Cleveland, and New
Okay.
York. I left out Philadelphia because
Never mind. We're
I
gonna.
hate Philadelphia with all my heart. I hate Joel Embiid with all my heart. I don't think bitch made gets you through the playoffs, and he is purely 100% bitch made. Um,
Don't call those type of fouls in the playoffs. Like
yeah,
it's been shown time and time again his style of basketball does not work.
yeah. Um, as for my list, though, Boston, Milwaukee, they're the usual suspects. When you have Jason Tatum on one team and Giannis on another team, you can make a historic run. Especially with Boston now having a healthy Kristaps Porzingis, having Drew Holiday, they kind of seem like the clear favorites for me. And Milwaukee has still got a lot of question marks now that Doc Rivers is the coach. But like I said, you have Dame, you have Giannis, you can win any playoff series. You have a chance in every playoff series. And then Cleveland, I just think they have so much talent, and they if they could just put it together in the playoff run. And like when I think about Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs, I get like flashbacks of the Donovan Mitchell versus Jamal Murray playoff series in the bubble, where they're each just going off for 40 points a game. I think you add that with if a Garland can actually play good in the playoffs, a Jared Allen, uh, Evan Mobley. That once again, Cleveland, and New York. There's not that many good teams in the East, so I had to put somebody. But I think if Cleveland can get on a run, they've been hot lately. Why not knock off a few teams in the playoffs? And then New York, I talked about them earlier. Ever since they got OG, this just feels like a grinded out team. They play more of a playoff style basketball with how much defense, their pace. Um, they have a great point guard. Uh, just tell Julius Randle you get 9 shots a game, and once you hit 9, you're out. You're done. You can't reload. Give it to
Mhm.
OG. Give it to Jalen Brunson and let them work. Plus, they haven't had Mitchell Robinson in weeks, so
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
was
even
about to
fully
say
healthy.
it's a huge miss. They got
Yeah,
Hartenstein playing minutes or something like
who has
that.
been playing good by the way.
Yeah,
So
he's a good backup big, I would say.
yeah, but
Um,
that's my 4.
Actually, we do have some differences here. I mean, besides Boston number one, I'm gonna go Philly number two, just on the fact of Joel Embiid being, I think he's the best player this year, regardless of if you take away all the bitch madeness and him dodging and all that kind of stuff. I think you want him in the playoffs because he could score and he could play defense.
The
And
way
they
he
still have,
scores, and I feel like that doesn't translate to the playoffs, right?
Yeah,
You don't
he's
call
never
that
translated his game to the playoffs. When defense gets tight, when fouls aren't like don't no ticky tack fouls are called in the playoffs.
fouls
no, I
frequent.
understand that. I just think he puts a pressure on the defense. And since Tyrese Maxey has taken that next step, and they have another piece that they can move. Like they can go get Alex Caruso if they wanted to. Whenever the Bulls want to sell, like they have first round picks that they can do it. That's why I put them over Milwaukee because Milwaukee's done. But third one going to Milwaukee. You can't bet against Dame in the playoffs. Really, ball in his hand, you're going to take that chance of him. And they have a grinder of Giannis to play defense and offense the whole game. They just need Chris Middleton to figure it out and their defense. They got rid of their coach that was second in the East because they didn't like his defensive schemes, which is insane.
And he didn't mesh with Dame.
Yeah,
Yeah, something like that. And then
kind of a diva move.
yeah, fourth, I will go with New York Knicks just because I'm believing in the Jalen Brunson hype. Saw it here firsthand. I love he's getting national media attention. Just nothing but good things for that guy. He's a grinder. He's perfect for that city, and I think you got another player that can take the ball out of Julius Randle's hands. and OG Anunoby. And they got players all around. But is Jalen Brunson that type of superstar to go against a Dame, to go against a Giannis? Can he win those battles? And that's the questions. I think he's better than Donovan Mitchell. I think he proves that year and year over again. I do like Cleveland. There's just something with Evan Mobley. He's the same since he came in. And that's my arguments. What do y'all think?
I mean, I think all are fair. It's hard to like talk about Philadelphia when part of your basing your premise is off they could go get Alex Caruso. They could go get another piece. But will they? Like
I
Alex
mean,
Caruso is going to be sought after. Are they going to have? They don't have any like young prospects to add on to draft picks to then go get Caruso.
Tobias
Of course.
Harris.
So
They could add
you want to take on Tobias Harris when you're giving out Alex Caruso? No.
just because they freeze up cap space. I mean, that goes in a conversation of Bulls and what they can do. I don't know. I'm taking Joel over Giannis this year. I don't know. I've really watched Giannis play this year. To be fair enough, but he's just, I don't know. I don't. Not that I don't trust him. I'm just taking Joel over him because it's an offensive league.
Okay. Right guy. What do you got for us?
Over Embiid. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's
For one, I got Celtics. I feel like that's pretty easy. I feel like they're the only team in the East that's actually going to put up a fight against anybody in the West. Hopefully, that's the team that makes it to the finals. It's cool seeing Porzingis be like the Porzingis that he was supposed to be. Just a good all-around team. Two, I've got the Bucks just because like playoff Bucks. It's gonna be Dame time and Giannis, just the two of them kind of working it. Like Zach said, hopefully Chris Middleton can kind of find his spot again. He's one of those guys that's been there, done that. So maybe when he gets to the playoffs, it starts clicking again. But obviously not the same player he used to be. Oh man, this is hard. I keep like switching up my picks. Three, I'm gonna put the Knicks. Um,
Shit.
not a believer in like.
come on, Zach.
Come on,
Dude, Brendan.
Not a huge fan of him like before the OG trade. Not a huge fan of Julius, but come to the playoffs if they can rely on Jalen Brunson. They've got the defense with Josh Hart, OG. Like it's a hard-nosed team. I could see them making some noise. And then for four, I'm going to put the Cavs. I think in order for the Cavs to like really make that next jump, y'all both kind of talked about it, but Evan Mobley's been the same player he's been since he's entered the league. And playing him and Jarrett Allen on the court for 25, 30 minutes a night is really difficult when you can't shoot a three. So I think he's shooting like 28% this season. Like he's shooting below 30%. I think everybody expected him to like kind of work on his 3-point shot, be a little Jabari Smith like, obviously a little bit bigger, but be able to shoot the three from the corner at least. And he really hasn't done that this year at all. So I feel like that's the one piece that the Cavs are missing. I think y'all might have noticed I left the 76ers out. I feel like Embiid just is not enough. Or not that he's not enough, but his style of basketball does not work in the playoffs. And the team that he has around him, like, or Maxey and Tobias, going to pick up the points that he's leaving on the floor from not shooting 20 free throws a game. Like, he's not going to get the fouls that he's been getting all year. We've all watched playoff basketball. So maybe the 76ers are able to pull it off, because I'm with you. Like, Embiid is a top 2 or 3 player in the NBA, but I just don't think it translates to the playoffs. And we've seen that. We've seen it like a couple of years now.
So my
He's
question with
like he's
him,
kind of like, huh?
go. You
He's
can
kind
go.
of like Lamar. He's a top 2, 3 player in the regular season, not top
Yeah.
2, 3 in the playoffs.
See, the thing I was gonna say was, it looks like he's starting to like not care about this MVP award, which I'm kind of liking because he's taking the playoffs more seriously. Like, why not just take off these games, not
Uh,
do these back to backs where he looks forward to the playoffs? I'm just, I
He's
look at it, he gets always injured. It's not his play style. It's not that doesn't translate. I think he just gets injured and he's screwed.
and
So
then
if he's gonna say screw the award and give it to Jokic, like, I think he'll go in healthy.
well, we'll revisit these later on in the season. We'll be back next week to preview our Super Bowl, give our Super Bowl picks, maybe even drop a few prop bets. Um, but until then, we will see you guys next time. Deuces.